I'm ready.
Okay.
We'll see how much I stumble.
You're not gonna stumble, just take a breath.
If I do, I'll get back up.
Okay, ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready. Hey everybody, Kenny Hubbard, Razor Edge Productions, here today with Jon Sheets. I want to remind everybody, go like and follow the page and help us out, watch these interviews and stuff. Jon has been racing quite a while. Jon is amazing to watch race. I don't know how else to put it other than he's a loaded gun. Anywhere Jon goes and unloads his car, he's a threat to win. And I mean, that's the reality of it, but we're going to learn a little bit about Jon today, and I look forward to it.
Yep.
How's it going, man?
Good, good.
Got the car mostly ready?
For the most part, we're fine-tuning, tinkering. It's we got the big stuff done, but we're down to the stuff that just takes a ton of time.
Yeah, the little stuff.
The little things.
That's always how that goes. So you started racing at 13.
Yes, sir.
And what brought you to racing?
We started RC car racing. We, as in me and my father, we went out, and actually my first car, or RC car, was half owned with Trey Todd that used to race A-mods way back when, and he's been out of it for quite a while now. Then I got my own RC car, of course, and then we went to go-karts with quite the group of people. Ernie Leftwich, which is now the director of MLRA, and Jason, all the Pike brothers. Quite a few people ran out there. Rob Purchase was out there quite a bit. Number of people out there. It was never a competitive deal. It was just we played a lot, and then we were going to the races one night, and Danny Christenberry had a street stock for sale, and we went that route for 10, 12 races and finished out the year. That was towards the end of the year, and I think 06, and then 07 we went full-blown A-mod racing.
That's so pretty fresh in your racing career and your A-mod racing.
Very, very fresh. It was the typical end of the year, everybody talking, we're cutting classes, we're doing this, we're doing that, the whole racer gossip, and we were too new to the whole racing scene because I was first generation, and we didn't know any better, so there was a class that was always going to be around probably, and that's A-mod, so I guess let's get one of them was the mindset. And we hung out there for years and years to come, or till about 2019, 2020. I don't remember exactly when I made the full switch to a B-mod, but it was right there in that time frame.
Was it, so in an A-mod back then, was that pretty intimidating?
I think I was too young to be intimidated, too dumb, but looking back, yeah, I was definitely in over my head, but the good thing about it was I had a lot of great teachers. Never felt unwanted or unwelcome, I guess you could say, from what I remember. It's been a number of years ago now, but I was very lucky. One of the main people that was very big in my learning process, I guess one would say at that time, was Johnny Fenwell. He, one winter, kind of took me under his wing, took me up. He built a body for a car and helped us work on it some, and that was in 2011, I think, the winter of 11, and just taught me a lot and taught me how to really work on them, because me and my dad were first generation. The Clarks were great to help us out dirt works along the way, but we didn't know what we were doing, so we were just kind of throwing balls at the wall and seeing what would hit, and Johnny kind of taught me and explained things, and we actually picked up our first win the following year at Humboldt. So that's one person that is still, big. We talk often. I'm not gonna say we talk once a week, but we talk frequently, and he's still a person that I have something mind-boggling. We can talk it out, and I can at least get it right in my head anyways.
Right, somebody to bounce something off of. But Johnny's second generation racer. His dad raced for forever. Johnny was real young starting out, so that's somebody that's got a lot of information to offer.
Yes, sir.
A good sounding board.
Yep.
So John's number is 8S. Where'd your number come from?
That's a great question. I think I was 8 through all of Little League sports and everything. We were always Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans in our household, so I guess it just fit. And there might have been another 8, so I was 8S or for whatever reason, and it's been there forever, and I've never felt the need to change it.
Right. I don't think most guys change numbers.
Yeah, I don't have one of the cool stories about where they're numbered at. What it was, and so it's what it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. So in the video clip Shannon made you was driving a late model.
Yes, sir.
I seen a Victory Lane picture.
Yes, sir. We had a short but successful little stint in late models. Man, I'll get the years wrong. I'm not a good year person, but we spent 2 years there. Kind of the same deal. We were a little bit burnt out on A-mod racing, and we kept our A-mod, and we found what we felt was a good deal on a ULMA late model that runs at Lucas, and then just kind of here locally. We weren't open racing, but we got in that ULMA deal and got a car from Timmy Culp out of Arkansas, a Pierce car, and got in it and won the first night and won the second night, and I think we won our first 7 nights in it. And I don't know how many races we won, but we had a good little stint in it, and I figured out real quick that late model racing was very expensive. We got a good deal on the car, and it was just, you were kind of married to one track, and I've never liked doing that. I like doing my own thing, going where I want to go on Friday and Saturday nights. And so it was a short time in the ULMA class, but I had fun. There was a ton of people in the class that were very nice. Still friends today. Aaron Poe's one of them. He's not there no more, but he's racing street stocks very successfully. But I enjoyed racing with him and John Benning and Johnny Finwall, and we got to bang doors a little bit there and those. And it was just a fun little time there. I learned a lot. Learned that driving modifieds suck. Brakes suck, steering sucks, models are way better to drive, but there's just a lot there, and late models were really in a transition period on getting really out of hand with shocks, or I ain't gonna say out of hand, just more than what we could afford at the time. And so we went back to A-mod racing after that.
Yeah, the will to win will get you a long ways, but at some point the pocketbook's got to help a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we were very fortunate. We got the car and we were kind of back to, I didn't know what I was doing. The best story I have about late model racing was I went out our first night and pushed in the heat race. I won the heat race, but it was not pretty. I think the only reason I won it was I was all over the racetrack, pushing in everybody's way. And I got out of the car, and the only person I knew at the racetrack that had any late model experience, and this was at Lucas, was Mike Striegel. And I walked over there to him and I said, "Hey, you worked on TP stuff quite a bit. Just give me a driving hand. What do I need to do? Because I look terrible." And he said, "You need to drive the race car. You look like a fool, and we'll call it a fool out there, not driving very hard." And then we had a very successful and we ended up winning that night.
So that was the night you won?
Yeah, that was our first night, and I remember on the way over, that was in the clip, your promo clip, I was up on the roof, the one and only time I think I've stood on the roof after I won. I'm not I don't show much emotion when I get out of the race car. It's just kind of me in general, but I shot my mouth off on the way over. Craig Burchett was helping me. He'd go to every race with me at that time, and I shot my mouth off on the way over. I said, if I win, I'll get out and act like an idiot for myself. I ain't gonna say anybody that does that's an idiot, but that's just not my cup of tea. And so if I win, I'll get out. And I tried to get out of it, and if you listen real close in that clip, he was yelling at me that I had to hold up my end of the deal, which is a pretty cool night.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, it is worth it. I haven't done it since, though.
Made for memory.
Yep, definitely.
So, is there any other cars you've driven other than the street stock back then, and the A-mod, and the late model, B-mod?
No. I've driven a variety of cars, brand-wise. We started off in the A-mods, and we stayed a stint there, and we got to working with Brian Larimore here in town, and he actually got a deal put together. I raced my first B-mod, and at that time frame, the B-mods were fairly new to the area, and then I was pretty well just in my own stuff for all time. I've dabbled and drove a car here and there for somebody, but never a full-time deal or very many race deal. I'm such a loner to an extent. I like to do my thing, and I work really good on my own. When on Thursday evening at 10 o'clock I decide I want to go to Petty, Texas and race, that's just what we do. And the only person I guess I have to answer to these days is myself on why I'm doing it, or my wife maybe.
Yeah, Mama's probably got to say, I bet.
Yeah, the good thing is she comes from a racing family herself, so I think she likes it just as much as I do.
So you've been, I've noticed that you've been all over the country racing.
Yes, sir.
What's some of these highlight tracks you've been to?
Oh man, I've been to a ton of them. Everybody loves the tracks up north but me. I do terrible up there. I really like racing at Rocket Raceway in Texas, Kevin Sears track. It doesn't like me. For 2 years in a row, we've been down there for one night, and I've led, I think, 95% of the race both times, but I haven't won it either time. I enjoyed that, but Salina High Banks, we go down there a lot these days. It's a very nice facility. It's a nice track. It's usually multi-grooved. I don't necessarily have a favorite track. I just like it when there's grooves and you can pass, and I don't like getting line. So.
Right, multiple grooves.
Yep, just if you can race, I like to be there.
Right. I like that too. It makes it more interesting. You get lined up around the bottom or something, or some places around the top, where the only thing to get a hold of is. And it doesn't make for great racing. I like having multiple lanes.
Yes, sir.
Get up there by the wall if you got the balls.
Yes, yep. Yeah, that's kind of where a lot of times I can make my haze up there dragging the right rear off against the wall. I don't know if it's one of the things that I'm too dumb to know better or whatever it is, but I seem to get along pretty good up there.
You seem to be really good on the top. I've watched you do a lot of racing on the top of a racetrack. Sparks flying down the front stretch, and he's diving off in there to win a race. So that's something that's why I call him a loaded gun. I mean, you never know. You go race against some of the best B mods in the country, and you run right up front with them guys, running a J2 chassis, with Chris Jackson, and you guys have done a lot of side-by-side racing. And what's that like for you? Do you feel like you're on the level, or do you feel intimidated with some of these big guys in this class?
Oh, I'm never intimidated. I always say if you don't feel like you can win the race when you leave the shop, you might as well just leave it in the shop. You have to respect the people you race with. I've got along fairly well. I've raced for a long time, and I hope to say I don't really have any imminent but rivals, one might say. There's always been hurt feelings. I don't carry any grudges. We race, and the fact of the matter is none of us are professionals. It's a hobby for all of us, and if we're as good as we think we are, we'd be racing in Florida right now for a Luke Soul championship. So I enjoy racing with the guys. Chris, you brought up, he's great. He's been great for our program. We'll backtrack just a step. Actually, when I went B-Mod racing, the first person I talked to was Chris, and I told him I'd like a car. Things just didn't quite work out for us at that time frame, and Brantley Gotcha was Phoenix. We got a deal together, and Brantley and Brooke, Tim, they were great to me for 2 or 3 years, and we just got to a point where we made the switch to J2, and Chris has been great to me. Success was almost instant. It was the car. The car at that time, the car I had then was an ex-Kyle Slater car, and he had won a ton in it, and I sat down in it and just instantly went to winning with it. And the fit's been great. Chris is great. There's a lot of people in the world that don't like Chris Jackson, but I can't say a bad word about the man. He's been great for my program. I guarantee I could pick up the cell phone right now and he'd answer the phone. If I have questions, he talks to me. Another great person on the team is Troy Witt with Troy Witt Racing. Shabby Turner's his driver. They're great to work with. Their boy Jeff, or Troy's boy Jeff. There's a good little group of us there. Troy Shadron, Chris, Bobby Williams. We race together a lot, and we'll bang doors, and we're pitted right there with each other, and we're always helping. And one of the best stories I have, just to display friendship, I guess you might say, we all have is we're at Mason City racing for 10 grand or whatever it was last summer, and we hurt 2 radiators running the alphabet soup because, as I said, I'm terrible up north. And we'd made the A-main, we'd poked a hole in the radiator, so we were just going to go out and we'd patched it. We were going to go out and make a lap, park it, because we were out of radiators in the trailer. And it's 5 minutes till the A-main's rolling out. Chris is starting on the front row, so he should have far better things on his mind than my radiator, but him and Chris Theodore, a guy out of Oklahoma that also has a J2 car, is changing the radiator in my car, one of Chris's radiators, because they wanted me to race. So, I thank them for that, but that just shows how tight our little group of guys is.
I think that's, and for hardcore racers, I think it's a thing where, when we're buddies, I want to beat you.
Yeah.
I want you to be out here. And I want you to be out here in tip-top shape. That way when I get that ass, where I can give you shit about it later. Not because you broke down.
Well, yeah, that's, one of the coolest races I can say I've won. It didn't pay, nothing paid $400, but the opening night at the USRA Nationals a couple of years ago, when I won that, I started in 11th, 12th, somewhere back in there, and it was a fun race. But as you say, it was fun to race with him, but one thing that always sticks in my mind is Gilmore broke on lap 6. So that's one guy I didn't get past, one guy we have a stout group of guys here in the Midwest that we race against BMOD wise. You don't need to travel to race against the best because they're right here. And, I'm competitive, and the races I win, I want to win them. I don't want to feel like I've been given races, because there's races. Every race there's one that you get out and you're like, man, that sucks. Wish the track could have been better. Wish we could actually race for it. But that's one that was great. But it's always, what if he would have been better? It always sticks in your mind, anyways.
I think so. It does with me, and it does with other guys I've talked to as well. What? So you're talking about racing for 10,000. What's the most you've ever raced for?
Most I've ever raced for, probably, I don't know, to be honest with you. We've gone to a ton of big races. We've had success. I've won some bigger, 3,500, 4,000 win stuff. I don't know what the biggest thing I've won. I kind of hang my hat on, you can't dwell on the past, because the next race is the important one.
Right.
So, I got trophies over there in the other shop, and they're all cool, and my boy loves them, and there'll be great memories to look back on. I'm just not great with the statistics side of I've won this many races or I've won this big of a race. I can say the biggest race purse-wise is we are going to the stock car 100,000 win show I think it's next August up in Farley, Iowa. I got a seat for that, so that'll be fun. It's definitely going to be the biggest purse I've ever raced for. It's more of I got a good car. I think I know it's a good car that I'm going to be driving, so.
Now this is an IMCA stock car.
IMCA, USRA, they're basically the same to my knowledge. You're getting out of my window. I'm kind of just a driver there. We got a little deal put together, and I'm excited. I've never drove one. Well, I drove a street stock however many years ago, so it'll be a learning experience. I'm excited, so we'll see. It's kind of a deal. I think I'm good enough to drive and win the race. It's going to be tough. Any of those shows you go to, you have to have a ton of speed and a ton of luck. So that's one of those deals that it's going to be hard to win, because you can't get in a car one time and expect to be the best. Anybody can have one night, but you're racing against guys that run them 60, 70, 80 nights. So I'm going to have a ton of luck on my side, and we'll just see what happens for us.
I've always said since I got into racing and started learning a little bit, I'll take luck over skill just about any time.
Absolutely.
I think no matter how prepared, no matter how anything, luck always wins.
Absolutely.
So what do you said you don't really have a favorite track, so what about, what's some tracks that you want to race at every year? What's some races that you got to catch?
Definitely Lucas, for the standpoint of the competition. If you ever think, man, I'm really good at this.
Go give her a shot.
Drive over Wheatland, Missouri, and you can get humbled pretty quick usually. That's just, you got Chris there weekly, you got Ryan there weekly, JC, Andy Bryant. I mean, I could go on for quite a while on names, JC Newell, the guys there. I mean, you can humble yourself pretty quick. When you get to thinking you're a big dog, you're pretty quick, just take a little drive.
Go get in the shark pond.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just always a speed check, is what I call them. If you can check where you're at. But I love racing at Lakeside. When Lakeside's slick and gets black slick and, you know, have a little curb around the top and a little traction around the bottom, it's very fun to race on. I like Salina, High Banks. Like I said, I really enjoyed racing at Rocket. I hate that it's 6.5 hours from us, so it's hard to make it down there. But Rocket, Butler, Nevada is very convenient for us. You know, we can make it there, Nevada, in a few minutes, and Butler in 20, 30 minutes. So it just makes sense for us to race there some. You know, I've always, Warrensburg, that's another place I've been very good at here the last couple of years, or the car's been very good at. I've been good enough just to hold on to the steering wheel. We've had success there the last couple of years. I like hitting their big shows. It's just one of those places that it's the right distance from me that I can make it other places and be at the same pay scale and have less money invested in the diesel fuel side of it to get there. So, but any show that they have that pays extra, I usually try and make it up to. That's what really drives where we race at on the weekend, is where nobody's making money doing this, but what we can have the best return on the dollar if we run well. That's kind of where we try and run. We don't ever run for points anywhere. I ran for points once, got beat on the last race by Terry Schultz, who's one of my good buddies. Just not my cup of tea. I like to bounce around too much, so we just kind of chase what I call chase the money, pick and choose. If Lakeside throws in 1,000 to win on a Wednesday evening, you can about bet, well, if there ain't nothing else going on, we'll venture up to Lakeside that evening.
That's a fun track.
Yep, very fun. We're very fortunate. Where we're at here in Nevada, we can make it to a lot of racetracks in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I think we figured up inside of a 3-hour drive, there's 7 or 8 racetracks that you can go race at right here. And you know, I'm proud of our area, I'm proud of that. And in some of those racetracks are some of the best racetracks in the country, or as good as.
Yes.
You know, and so that's pretty cool.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. And another thing about the area, like you said, you know, if you want to check your speed in a B-mod, you definitely have plenty of opportunities to do that with these guys around here.
Yeah, the guys around here are very tough. You can tell that when there's a money show anywhere in the country, one of the guys, at least one guy from around this area, they might not win it, but they're in contention. You're gonna know the Midwest over there. I mean, the guys up north, they're fast. Hubden's fast. There's a ton of guys up there that are pretty quick too. So I ain't taking anything away from anybody. Guys south, you got Kyle Slater down there in Oklahoma, but you don't ever want to count out Kyle. He's very quick as well. But I mean, just the guys you wreck with. I can't go any direction, and there's never a gimme. You go west, you got Kidwell. You go south, you got Slater. Anywhere. I mean, you got the number of guys I've listed around here. Go north, you got all them fast guys. I mean, the B-mod class is very tough. That's one of the things reasons I switched was, you know, at that time I felt A-mod racing weekly was kind of dying in our area at least. It's kind of making a little bit of a comeback now, but not as far as weekly racing. You're still gonna have to get out on the road to an extent and travel. And I was kind of to a point in my life where we could afford to go to race 50, 60 nights a year, and that's kind of what I want to do for while I can, while I'm young enough to do it, while I can afford to do it. My boy's young enough that we're not racing hard with him yet, so that's what we're trying to do right now, and it's extremely hard to do with an A-mod. You're having to drive to Tulsa and Muskogee and stuff to catch a Friday night race, and I mean, like I said, I can afford it right now, but that's partly because I go to work Monday through Friday, and it's hard to make those races. So we made the switch to a B-mod where we can race somewhat locally. I mean, we can be at Butler in 20 minutes after work on a Friday night and save our vacation for the races that we want to go to that pay more. And so we made the switch to the B-Mod class, and you know, I came into it with some arrogance as an A-Mod racer that it's not as hard as it looks, and it's slowed down, so it's going to be easy. And it took me quite a while to win a B-Mod race, and I figured out real quick that it might be slowed down a touch, but them guys, they know what they're doing, and they have a lot of technology behind them and a lot of smart brains behind them, and you know, you learn a lot. I had to learn a lot. I'd never raced a 3-link car. One of my saving graces to race in a 3-link car, starting when I did, was my father-in-law raced 3-link cars forever, so he knew what to do far more than what I did, so it helped the learning curve a lot.
Right. And so John's father-in-law is Kevin Mara.
Yes, sir.
So kind of a storied A-Mod driver. What's that like, having him as your father-in-law? Is that I mean, that guy was real elbows up driver. I mean, does he push you pretty hard?
Yeah, he's my best critic for when we get out at the racetrack, and I really appreciate it, because you know, we can win on a night and he can rattle off there whatever lap it was you got over, you drove in too deep, or he never lets me get big-headed anyways, and that's very important, because just like anything, you gotta leave that trophy last week or the last night, because everybody there is wanting to win, and they don't care that you won last night. So it's great. He knows racing. I mean, it's great because I can be working over in the other shop on a piece, and he can be over here working on stuff, and he helps me. He sees when I'm doing things wrong in the car, and he can help correct it because he's set in the car and he knows what I'm doing. And it's nice to have somebody that was as successful as him and at driving, that even when I get out and I can say, I don't know what I'm doing wrong here, because I mean, as a driver, you always can feel when you're not making speed. You can see the other cars making the speed. You know there's a way, but you just can't figure it out. And it's nice to have somebody to bounce ideas off of.
That's awesome. That's I think it's detrimental to a good race team having someone like that around that can see the car and tell you, and then can decide where to make adjustments from there.
Absolutely.
I do think that's a big deal. So, 2024, you got big plans? Anything special planned with this coming up?
No, not really. Do our same thing. Just race around, have fun, race for what money we can afford to race for and get to anyways. We'll bounce around. I'm sure we'll be at Lucas quite a bit. I'm sure we'll be at Salina quite a bit. I'm sure we'll be at Butler. Butler's very handy for us to get to after work on Friday night, so we'll be over there in Humboldt. We're just gonna do our kind of normal deal, race around, have fun, and just see where the next week takes us, I guess one might say.
Right. So I seen a video posted on Facebook. You got the little one in the cart.
Yes, yep. He's still a year out from racing, but he ran the Power Wheels at Lucas last year, and over the winter I told my buddy Terry Schultz, his son races go-karts, Alex, and I told Terry, just start looking for me, and whenever he found one, call me, and we'd just get the process started. And Terry called and he found him a cart, so we got the cart put together and rebodied and made it match my car and everything, and gave it to him for Christmas. Well, here this week, we finally got decent enough weather. Another friend of ours, Terry Schultz, another racer legend in his own, has a little track there at his shop and house here in town or outside of town, and called Kerry and said, hey, do you mind if we bring him by? And he's already turning laps and doing pretty good. The competitive side of me, I really have to check at the truck, and because I'm already wanting to get on him when there's little mistakes, but he's figuring it out. He's gonna have fun. He's doing very good. We're still a year out from being old enough to race. He's 4, got to be 5 to race. So next winter we'll be racing with him. Very excited. You know, I have a ton of fun driving a race car, but just 40, 50 laps I've made him I've watched him make, I can tell that's going to be a ton of fun too.
It's going to be a new kind of emotion in racing, I think.
Yep. You know, becoming a dad helped me a lot in life as well. You know, it changes your perspective on everything.
Oh boy.
It's really been cool. It's been cool, and you know, as I said, we raced 60 some nights last year, and I guarantee you he was at 50 some of those. He loves to go racing with us. It's fun having him at the track. It's more exciting for me now when we win to see him excited, you know, and he feels the trials and tribulations of racing just like we do. When we're down in the dumps, he's down in the dumps. He's learned far more than he should learn as a 4-year-old little boy. He knows far too many cuss words from being at the racetrack. But you know, he's probably more well known at the races than I am. Everybody knows Mario. Mario's his name. He's famous. He's famous for his moods. He's famous for chewing people out. He's quite the little boy, and I wouldn't want any other one.
That's great. That's great. Kids do something to you that's just unexplainable.
Yes, sir. He's actually, we like to joke around our house. He's the only track champion in the house. I've never won a track championship, and he won the Power Wash championship at Lucas last year. So he's, you know, you can never tell this so young, but he has a drive for racing, has a passion for it at this age anyways. So one of our deals, me and my wife Kayla, we've said is we're not going to make him do it, but if he wants to, we're going to try and supply the best we can to let him race however he wants to. If he wants to do it once a month, that's not my cup of tea, but whatever, we'll try. We're going to do whatever we can to push him however he wants to be pushed. That's one thing I'm trying not to do, is push him to do it too much and burn out at a young age. Last night we got back from his go-kart's over there. I keep pointing at it, nobody can see it, but we got back from riding his go-kart around, and I was yanking the tires off to get them clean and trying to teach him the right way to do it already. It's when we get home, it's not go home and eat chicken nuggets. We still have to clean stuff up. It's just, you teach him at that age the work ethic, then when we get to this car, whenever he gets to the age, he'll know that it's not show up on Saturday morning and win races on Saturday evening. I'm very fortunate. I have guys in here with me every night of the week. We try and, if we race Friday, Saturday, Sunday's our wash day, we try and get the inside the trailer all cleaned up, get the car cleaned up, and inside and tires all cleaned up from the race weekend. And we try not to work too hard on Sundays, but we want to get everything clean and a list made for what we got to do the following week. And then one of my best friends for my whole life, Derek Stark, Bubba's what we call him, he does 95% of my tire work for me, which is huge. We'll go through 80 tires a year, so there's a ton of time invested. He's working 20, 30 hours a week over in the other shop working on tires for me while I'm working on the car, and that's just huge because time invested is everything. You know, luck's a lot, time invested is a lot. You can't show up on Saturday. I mean, you can show up on Saturday morning and win races, but 9 times out of 10, the guy that was in the shop 40 hours is going to beat the guy that was in the shop for 5.
Right. So that's what, since you're talking about that, this is something that we always ask, and I think it's important. If there's something you have to pass on to a new guy, to tell them standing here coming into racing, or maybe even not a new guy, maybe somebody's program that they're missing something, they need some help, what would you say to them?
Maintenance is everything. I mean, you could pull, I would say 70% of the cars in, just say you go to any local racetrack, you pull them into a shop of a good racer that's, you know, winning a ton, and pull that car in there, and they can find a bent part, dry bearing, something, dead spring, bent ball joint, bent tie rod. They can find something wrong with the car.
Right.
And that's where, and it's just hard. It took me and my dad a long time to learn the maintenance side of it, because you're coming into it and you don't know. And it's just things that a lot of times have to be taught, or you learn from the hard way because, oh, hey, I've had this brake hanging up for 6 weeks and I never knew it, and that's killed speed or whatever the case is, or I've had this ball joint that I didn't even know was bent for 10 weeks, and that's ruined the steering on my race car, but they don't know. And that's just the biggest thing you can pass along is know your race car and work on your race car enough to know your race car, break things apart, check things. I mean, we're breaking spindles off of ball joints or spindles off of A-arms not every week, but I have a maintenance schedule that I try and really focus on one corner of the car a week and go over everything well, tear it apart and back together. Of course, if we've been on a real rough racetrack, that's a long week because you really got to check a lot of things. Rough racetracks are really hard on race cars, and just deep dive into your race car every week. It's hard. We have families, so I'm very lucky. My wife's a very busy lady herself. We have a business that it's her business. I shouldn't say we have a business in Webb City, and she's very busy. She's in the wedding industry, so she's gone a ton. It's like there's times we're not even married. We see each other from 9 p.m. till about 6 a.m. when I leave for work, and we're sleeping for most of that. But it's tough, but you just got to deep dive into your race car and know your race car, and you'll learn a lot about your race car.
And I think that's everything. I think that's the most important part of it, is knowing your car.
Yep.
Inside and out, the nuts and bolts, and you ought to be looking at stuff enough to know when something looks out of whack.
And the other thing is, everybody has a budget, so it's very hard to say race 60 nights a year, because it's the flat reality is that some people can't afford to. But the more laps you can make in your car, just the more comfort level that you can have in your car to drive off 4 inches from the wall at Lakeside and know exactly what it's going to do. There's a comfort factor. So just some more seat time. Seat time's huge, and maintenance is huge. When you do your maintenance and have your seat time, you're going to win races.
I think that's great advice, and something made me think of it. Guys don't say often enough, I think, that how big the maintenance is, and that's just it's just huge. It's everything.
I was as guilty as anybody. You see them guys roll in, you see them. You don't do much. We've been very fortunate. We don't have to work on our car a ton at the racetrack. We're fairly well prepared in the trailer for when we do have little mishaps. We have stuff ready. We have complete spindles with hubs mocked up, so if we bend a steering arm, we're not trying to replace a spindle and pull the hub off and everything else. We replace complete units at the racetrack, and then you come back to your work in the shop.
Right.
You put that unit back together in the shop. That's, you see people well prepared and they're like, man, that's easy. They're not working on it, so I don't need to work on it. But the time spent here, and that's just the biggest thing. Everybody gets in their groove, and it gets hot, it gets August, and you don't want to walk out to the shop. I know I don't anyways. The shop isn't the fun part of the race car, and it sucks to come out here and work, but I'm very lucky. I got I try to be here a lot, and my father-in-law, Kevin, and Bub, they're here 20, 30 hours a week, so between the three of us, we got a combined 60 hours in on that car through the week, and it makes a ton of difference in being prepared when you get there.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. So, what do you think is your biggest race you won? What's the one that speaks the most?
Probably, like I say, the coolest one I've won was USRA race at Wheatland, because everybody's there. It's one of those deals. All the good guys are there, so it's one you can hang your hat on. Like I said, it's paying $400. I've won far more money other places, but it's one that really sticks out. Winning the first time in a late model really sticks out for me. Winning the Mike Clark Memorial at Butler last year was pretty special to our team, just for the simple fact that Kevin and Mike worked together for years and years and years. Kevin was a driver for Dirtworks for I don't know how many years, and they won a ton of races together. And Gary and Mike were great to my dad and I when I came into racing. We never owned a Dirtworks car, but that never stopped them from being a helpful hand. They worked on my cars when I'd wreck them because I was a young kid, and of course I wrecked stuff. And they're always there for a helping hand or a piece of advice. So winning that one was pretty special for us. It wasn't our biggest money win by no means, but something that, that just meant something to us. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Is there, so you've mentioned some guys along the way through the interview here that have been there for you racing through the years. Is there anybody else that you feel like you need to mention?
There's a very long list. I'm probably gonna have to get my phone here, but
and I don't want to create a leave out. I just, I like asking. There's a lot of guys that are pillars in our racing community, not just for one guy, but for many guys, and I think that's huge.
Yeah, there's a number of people I have to thank. I'll kind of go back from getting help on a personal level. We were with Hatfield Race Engines for a number of years, and we've recently made the switch to Eagle here in the last couple of years. Their B-Mod program is a very good engine program. Not taking anything away from Hatfield, because Hatfield was great, and I bring them up. Many thanks. I ran a ton of Hatfield A-Mod engines, and we had a Hatfield A-Mod engine in our late model that drove us to success, and they're very good, and they're very good to us for a number of years. And Lonnie Robbins is another one. He builds extreme chassis in Arkansas, Arma, Arkansas, and I had a couple of his cars, and he was a very good teacher for me at a young age, and a person that taught me a lot about race cars, and we had good success in one of his cars. And then Chris, of course, with J2, Chris and Tony Jackson have been great. When I stepped in one, our program just seemed to go to another level that we hadn't been at ever really, because we're winning more races than we've ever won in a year. And part of that's racing more, but part of it's just the quality of car we have. J2 has a little bit of a rap car-wise for whatever reason that is on Facebook. It's a good thing I don't get in Facebook fights, because people post stuff on there talking about things they have no idea about. And one thing I can say is I've wrecked a J2 car harder than anybody's probably ever wrecked one. I have it on its lid at Humboldt last year, and just a testament to the car is had a very hard wreck, backed it into the wall, had ass or tail section bent down, and lit real hard on the roof. And we put the car back together with a tape measure. Rear end was bent. Every transmission back on the car had some bent parts, and we replaced them all, put her back together with a tape measure, set it down on a set of scales, and I called Chris and laughed, and I said, man, I don't know what I could do to this to make it any more right. So, I wrecked the car decent, and it was perfectly fine. Went out, and I think we won the very first night back in it after the wreck at Humboldt. So that's a testament to the car itself. So anybody interested in J2 car, don't read into the bad reviews on Facebook by people that's never had one, because I'm in one. There's a number of good cars. Scotty Allen probably builds a very good car. He has great success with his guys anyways. Looks like Terry Phillips is building a very good car, because JC's had a ton of success. The cars are what people make them. You get good guys in cars, they're going to be good cars. But that's been great for me. I got to ramble in there, but Greg and Shane McKinney at Eagle Motorsports, they're another one that helped me pick this program up just for what it is. We actually made the switch to them when we were with the Phoenix car, and that helped. I kept on complaining. We had an old motor, and just kind of a throw together deal, and I actually kind of got the motor gave to me somewhat in an instance, a new Eagle, and I put it in, and I think we won 6 or 7 races in a row with it. So it was just an area that we were lacking a little bit, and I got those. Those are the two people that, two companies that really, the molding to our program, and then I have so many people that help. Billy Portwood with Portwood Fabrication Services, Solutions, whatever. PFS, he's always on my nose because Billy built intruder cars. I had an intruder car, and now Billy's is kind of into a fabrication, body business side of things, or that's what he's doing anyways. I can't speak for him. He might be wanting to build cars, but he helps me a ton. If I have anything, if I need a fabricator at 10 o'clock on a Friday night, I'm not scared to call Billy because I know he'll come help me, and it's just a great relationship, and he helps me and builds body pieces when I need them in a hurry. I have all the stuff to build it over there, but I'm not near the fabricator Billy is, and we have far too nice of stuff for me to be putting jagged up sheet metal on it. So he's another one that's big and a helper. I'm going to get my cheat sheet here.
Billy's somebody that we want to get on the show. Billy's brought up a lot with racers around here. He does a lot for guys, so he's somebody that we want to get on here for all you guys to meet. I want to meet him. I may have met him at the track, but I don't recall. I don't know his face, so he's somebody that I want to meet. But
Billy's a great guy. He great family, his wife, his kids. I mean, very good, just good people. And it's one of those things. You just surround yourself with good people, and it just everything in life seems to go better. But yeah, as far as the people that help me, signature events, rentals, and coordinating, that's my wife's business. Of course, you gotta put her at the top of the list because none of it would be possible if she said stay home. I guess that's what we'd be doing. But then my mom's business, Westside Laundry, they're always willing to help out when I need to. They're usually a primary fire suit sponsor. It works good for the business. Westside Laundry, fire suit. Jane and Park West has been with me for forever, for my entire racing career. They've always, Mike's great, Penny's great. They've helped me forever. H2 Painting, Missouri Truss, RCR Designs. We made the switch to RCR here a couple of years ago. Robert, I'd always told him whenever he'd go ahead and buy the stuff, we'd be his first customer, and he finally bought the stuff, and he's great. Just another good friend in racing that's been there forever. Morrow Show Steers. We had Heron Construction come on last year. They helped a ton. Klingerman Fencing came on last year. This year we got some new ones in Wasova Trucking and Fescue Seed out of El Dorado. Daniel, he's an old racer himself, an old friend, and he's came on. Cole Reed with Reed Environmental. He's with us this year, another old racer. Elite Motorsport Complex out of Lebanon, which is one of Tony Jackson's companies. He's on with us this year. I pulled my cheat sheet out already. As I said, I'm not good at this stuff. Allen's Automotive, John Allen in Chanute. Always, he's a good, known Kenton forever. I've known John Kenton. Actually, my first A-Mod race I ever won, raced side by side with Johnny for, God, it seemed like 99 laps, but I think it was about 3. But whatever it was great. He was smiling when we got out, and I think the first people over to congratulate us when we got back to the pit was his wife, Dawn, and 2 boys, Kenton and Dylan. So that's one thing that always lingers in memory. They've been great to us forever, and proud to have Allen's Automotive on the side of our car here the last year, going into our 2nd year. Can't see either. Hardy Trucking, Tyler Hardy, he's came on with us the last couple of years. It's actually, surprisingly, I almost forgot too. But everybody, I got a big list that helps saying, I always feel bad after I'm on any sort of microphone because I always forget people. But those are the businesses that help keep this wheel spinning for me. As far as the people, I've rattled off a ton, but the core group of us, as we mentioned, I started racing at 12, 13 years old, so obviously my dad, I couldn't have done it for a number of years as a young adult or a kid in that matter. He was the sole financial supporter of it and helped work in the shop, and then started having to get a little old enough, buddies start hanging out and working, and there's always been a few come and go, but my buddy Bub, he's been here for a number of years now, and he works on it just as hard as I do, and Austin Trout, he's another one out of Liberal, Missouri Trust, his family company. He's in the shop with us quite a bit, and not so much the last year or so because he's busy. He's another guy, he's trying to make his own way in the world, but he goes and helps. I can usually count on Austin when I'm going on a big road trip. He's going with me, so at least I have some help and a riding partner. And of course my father-in-law, he helps keep this thing glued together a lot of the times and helps me in the shop. He's with me at pretty near every race. I think he missed 2 or 3 last year. And a number of people that help, my wife, my son, everybody involved. I know I'm forgetting people already, but everybody that helps now and has helped in the past, I appreciate everybody, because we wouldn't be where we're at. Like I said, we're not with Hatfields anymore, but we wouldn't be where we're at without them and all the old car builders, Billy and Lonnie. You know, appreciative to everybody, because that's one thing in racing, that you can learn something from everybody. So you just got to have open ears and be willing to learn.
Right. I think that's big too. Well, I really appreciate you sitting with us. I'm trying to think if there's anything I forgot. John doesn't run for points, so he hasn't won any championships. That may change as he gets older. He may want to not go all over the place. He may want to just stick home, but
maybe one of these days it'd be nice to say, because that's something that a lot of people gauge off of the racing world, is how many championships have you won? Well, I ain't won any. And it'd be neat to hang your hat on that, something. We're in a bad spot to race for a national championship, because we can run south to Oklahoma and you're running a lot of NASCAR stuff, and now with the Power I into the mix of things here, you're Power I racing, or you might be USRA racing in another place, so it makes it a little tougher to run for a national championship. The national championship kind of interests me a lot more than say a track championship, because, you know, anymore there's so many guys doing the bounce around, except, I mean, Lucas is kind of your exception to that. If you win a track championship there, you can hang your hat on that. But, you know, everybody's bouncing around chasing money to an extent. Like last year, just say the guys racing at the King of America, or Lucas is having a weekly race, so you're really having to make a decision there. But the national deal interests me to an extent, so we might try and make a run at that one of these years while we're able to, but also it can get to be a drag. You know, it makes racing hard when it gets to be a drag, so that's why I like doing what I do. When it gets to be a drag, we just change the direction a little bit and we make it fun again.
right, gotta keep having fun.
Yes, sir.
It's gotta be fun. So John's won somewhere between 70 and 100 races. I think I decided that's Striegel's fault for not keeping track.
Yeah, that was a little brief story.
We'll blame that on him, see if he catches us here.
Yeah, we've been fortunate. We've won a ton of races. I've raced for quite a while, and we've won races. I've won a race every year since that first one at Humboldt. I learned a neat little statistic last year at the Nationals. According to Jason Silvas, I had the longest consecutive year win streak at Lucas until I got into a B-Mod, and the B-Mod world ruined that, because I've only won one race there in a B-Mod. That's tough. I mean, you look at it, Ryan's a perfect example, man. It took him forever to get over the hump of winning there. He always had speed, and he just always would have something happen. And once he got the first one, they click off, and it's a very tough scene over there.
It's a good time to go watch down there.
Yes, sir.
I sure enjoy it. Well, anybody got any questions on there we need to answer?
Nope, not at all.
All right. Well, John, I appreciate your time. I look forward to watching the race. Hope I get to watch you playing. And I thank you for sitting with us, man.
Thanks for coming down. Real pleasure.
Thank you, guys. Go like and follow the page.